Well, we've spoken to a lot of great directors on this show over the last year or so, some fabulous directors, but here's one man that we've never spoken to before because he hasn't had many films out, but his new one, it's called Moon, and it is rather awesome. Duncan Jones, good morning.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, actually. Thanks for talking to us at Triple J. Whereabouts are you? You in the UK at the moment?
I am. I'm at home in London now. Finally, I've been sort of bouncing around all over the place, but finally I'm back. I'm back here.
Now, Moon, kind of, I don't want to give too much of it away, but essentially it's a kind of a classic science fiction scenario. It's a man with a robot in an isolated experience actually on the moon by himself, and he is working there trying to mine the moon's surface for energy. And while he's doing that, suddenly he realises that things are not what they seem. He sort of starts realising that some of his memories aren't exactly what he thought they were, and perhaps he's not the person he thinks he is.
Very succinctly put, Robbie.
Well,
I'm sure Duncan appreciates the praising.
Well, look, Duncan, maybe you'd like to correct me.
Actually, Duncan, you wrote a 35-page treatment for this. It was probably not as long as that description.
No, you know what? That works pretty well for me. If
Thank
you
you.
want to come with me, though.
Thank you, Duncan.
The QA circuit with you.
You can book me for weddings, anything you'd like.
Excellent.
Are you a big science fiction fan? Have you always been one?
I am, and I have always been one. And I'm of the Star Wars generation, so that kind of kicked things off for me when I was a kid. And sort of did a lot of reading, a lot of science fiction reading when I was growing up. And there was a great comic book over here in the UK called 2000 AD. I don't know if that came out in Australia or not.
Yeah, we did get it. If you were one of those, a comic book freak, it was here.
Oh, if you were one of those, nice to see where you're coming from.
Virgin is the word that we're looking for, I think.
Socially awkward, I think.
You're going to come kick sand in my face?
You should have a look at Robbie Buck. I don't think he poses too much of a threat to you, Duncan.
But yeah, I was a sci-fi fan, and I've always been, and there's a couple more sci-fi films I'd love to get the chance to make, but we'll see how things go.
Moon is your first film and your debut, and it's fair to say that choosing something like that, it's not the easiest kind of first film because you've got elaborate sets to make, you've got models to make, and I imagine the actual technical aspects of it are a little bit difficult as well. Did you feel like you'd bitten off more than you could chew?
Well, I mean, to be honest, on the technical side, I felt fairly comfortable because my background was actually doing commercials here in the UK, and a lot of my commercials were very technical, a lot of special effects in them. So I felt pretty comfortable on that side of things. The thing that intimidated me was working with like a real Hollywood actor.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell, who's in it.
Yeah, well, Sam Rockwell's kind of one of those interesting people. He's a character actor in America, and occasionally he does lead roles, but for whatever reason, it's never really kicked off for him. But I've always been such a huge fan of his. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Confessions of a Dangerous Mind or any of the films. He's an amazing actor. And for whatever reason, he hasn't really become a leading man, and I just think he is one and should be one.
So is that how you could afford him?
Well, it was both the way I could afford him, and also that the entire Moon was actually written for Sam Rockwell because I wanted to do a film with him.
Right, wow. We should... look, you stop me if I'm giving too much away.
He's about to read the second part of his thesis for you today.
But Sam is pretty much the only actor in this film, and he does play... in certain parts, he does play... in a lot of parts, actually, he plays up against himself. So he's acting against himself. How difficult was it to get him to do that?
Well, it took us 9 months to write the script before it was ready for him, and then it took him 3 months to actually decide to do the part. And the reason it took him such a long time, I think, was because the whole challenge of playing multiple parts and fundamentally sort of having to be the main role throughout most of the film, because Sam does an awful lot of he's on screen on his own for a huge amount of time. Or with the other versions, other characters that he plays. And I think that really, that challenge was something which eventually won him round and made him want to do the film. But at the same time, it was something that was quite intimidating to him.
We've got film director Duncan Jones on the line from the UK. His debut film Moon is about to be out. We've got director Duncan Jones on the line. He's got a debut feature called Moon, which is out featuring or starring Sam Rockwell. Have you noticed that so far during this interview we haven't mentioned your rather famous father at all, Duncan?
Oh, yeah, of course. You want to mention Freddie Mercury?
I was going to say Brian Jones, actually. Actually,
Elton John, wasn't it?
That would be a turn up for the books.
was there any pressure from your dad, David Bowie, to cast him in the lead role? Post Labyrinth.
There was no pressure at all. In fact, my father's been incredibly sweet and hands off in allowing me to sort of find my own way in life. So I think he was just relieved that I'd finally found something that I was passionate about, that I was also fairly good at.
Yeah. Look, one thing that did strike me, knowing that you were the son of a very famous musician and watching this film, and I don't want to tie too much to it, but because this film is all about the idea of having kind of surreal memories and the idea that you live in these sort of unusual situations. It kind of, I couldn't help but thinking, there must be a reflection of your childhood, because I would have thought you would have had a slightly different childhood to most people, and perhaps this plays into your motivation for making a film like this.
Well, I think there's certainly elements of the film which are autobiographical. Maybe not so many from my childhood, but maybe sort of more from later in life. Although I'm British, I actually spent. I went to university and graduate school in America, so I spent 7 years in the Midwest in America, and I spent 3 years of that in graduate school in Nashville, Tennessee, where I felt really out of my element. And
How did your accent go? How did your accent survive Nashville, Tennessee?
I don't know. I mean, it's a strange. My accent is a bit like a lizard or something. It kind of just changes its color and nature depending on where I am. So right now it's kind of in London mode, but when I'm in America, it does kind of get a twang back.
How does your Nashville accent sound?
Have you seen No Country for Old Men?
Yeah, oh yeah. Okay.
That's it. If you're going to model it on the greats, I think.
So have you got plans for more films after this one? Are you in pre-production for anything else?
It's been really interesting. The film came out in America a while ago. It's come out in the UK already, and it's done very well. We've won quite a few awards. We won the Edinburgh Film Festival, and we won. Just came back from Athens in Greece, where we won the Athens International Film Festival.
Great.
So all of the success of the film has meant that I've started being offered sort of bigger studio films, but I'm really trying to sort of hold them off, because there is this other science fiction film that I want to do. It's this thriller called Mute, which is sort of based in Berlin, and it's something. It's very much my love letter to Blade Runner, which is my favourite science fiction film of all time.
Yeah, I was thinking for Moon there are some real references. Obviously, 2001 and Solaris come in, but Blade Runner was the other one.
So what happens?
Absolutely.
What happens, Duncan, when you run out of movie titles that are 4 letters and start with the sound Moon?
Well, then you move on to N, and then O, P, Q. I've got loads of them. I can do it all.
Hey, Duncan, you've got apart from the advertising background and your about to be very, very successful filmmaking career, you made music videos for a while as well. Are there any bands that we would have heard of in Australia?
Absolutely not. I can't imagine that they were all such tiny little videos. There was do you have the most famous one was a guy called Nick Armstrong in The Thieves. Have you ever heard of him? Cricket.
At least you won the Ashes.
I won't be able to get to throw to a song by any of these artists now, unfortunately.
Maybe, would you mind if we threw to a song by Your Old Man? Would that be all right?
God. All right, if you have to.
Yeah, come on, let's do that. I think
we don't get to play David Bowie too often on this station. So,
okay, but look up Nick Armstrong and the Thieves.
All right.
It wasn't so bad.
We'll do that while we're listening to Your Old Man. That'll be good.
All right, mate.
Hey, Duncan, thanks so much, mate. Congratulations on Moon. It's a great flick, and we look forward to more from you.
Cheers, fella. I hope people in Australia like it.